Alright, so I am sitting here in the rain in the car. I got the baby in the back seat sleeping. Well, kind of sleeping. Just pulled over and just kind of want to tell my story. I was thinking a lot today about how great my life has become since I got sober. And just how almost unbelievable it is to think of how my life was before I stopped drinking and drugging. It just seems like it wasn't real, although it was very real. The pain was real. The pain I caused was real. The things I did were real. But it just is so different now. It seems unreal, if that makes sense. But I'm 9.5 years sober, and it's just one day at a time. When I was little, I was like real shy or whatever, but I just always felt, I had two older sisters, I had a younger brother, I was kind of in the middle. But I always felt like, I don't know, like sad. And like to be happy or to get something good or nice always felt a little awkward and uncomfortable, like I didn't deserve it. Not that I didn't, I loved when I got hockey stuff for Christmas, or like, I was a kid, normal kid, but I always kind of felt like good things shouldn't happen to me, or if they did, like they should happen to someone better than me. Ever since I was little, I felt that way, and I didn't cry in front of people a lot until eventually I really didn't know how to cry. But yeah, I just had a lot of fear, even as a little girl, before I even knew what booze was. um there was never alcohol in our house growing up, but I do know that my dad would drink, and it caused a lot of turmoil in the family. And I remember being afraid of him if he was drunk. But everyone has their own demons, and I'm not anyone to call anyone an alcoholic. I just know that when my dad would drink, it was never good. And eventually it was the cause of my parents' divorce. Ultimately, my mom, stayed with him as long as was safe, and then eventually it just fell apart. But the love was always there. It was just hard to stay married to an alcoholic when they're not willing to help themselves. And I shouldn't say alcoholic, just someone who's drinking is priority and they don't think they need help. But so like all that time growing up, I guess they split. Like I was, early teenager, young adolescent, I guess. But I was quiet. I lived in fear. I always did good in school for some reason, and had friends and stuff. I always felt bad for the kid that was picked on. I wanted to like beat the other kids up that were like making fun of people. I didn't fight them, but one time I punched a kid who was making fun of this kid on the bus, but I got in trouble. And then I did also join in at times, and I made mistakes as a kid, but I always had like a heart for people that others didn't like. Maybe because I felt like I was that way, but anyway, it was just like a weird childhood, a lot of fear, like I said, and just always felt a little bit different. You know, we didn't have it bad. Like, I was able to play sports. You know, I was really involved in church. You know, my mom was like, always made sure we had everything. And my dad, despite his drinking, like, he always worked hard. You know, we weren't rich at all, but we weren't poor. Um, you know, it was like good on those levels, but the craziness inside the walls was just like insanity. But you know, I was always like afraid of alcohol when I was young because I just thought like it made you mean. I thought like, you know, if you drink, you know, I thought it was really bad, especially like you learn in church and all that stuff. Like, not good. But I started smoking cigarettes when I was like 12. I started to rebel. I started smoking weed. And eventually I started drinking a little bit here and there. But it didn't really take off till I got to high school. I will say, like, when I was like, started maybe around like 12, 13 years old, I started like cutting myself because I had so much pain inside of me. Like I said, since I was really little, like, this sadness and like cutting myself at the time. For a long time I did too. Maybe, you know, till I got sober, I would cut myself. And, but that was my release until, you know, I found alcohol and drugs. But, when I was high or drunk and sad, it just the blades got bigger, you know, it just became more crazy. But when I went to college, that's kind of where I really started to drink a lot, and it just progressed from there. Alcoholism is a progressive disease. It means like it only gets worse without help and treatment. So, you know, I like went to school and, you know, just like started hanging out, parties and stuff, and I learned pretty quick that I like drinking. It was fun. But I noticed like soon, like it didn't take long for me to be a blackout drunk. I could drink a whole lot, but I usually blacked out from the get-go and did a lot of things, silly things at first, but over time they became worse. Got in worse situations just to find another drink, and it was all just like a vicious cycle. I always just thought like I was just really crazy and sad. And I didn't ever know why, because I had nothing really so horrible really to be sad about. You know, things had happened to me when I was younger, a young girl. But I had blocked that out pretty much, you know, and like the stuff in our family growing up, like I didn't hold on to that, at least not so, you know, consciously. You know, like the way my life was I was in college, you know, I was playing soccer, you know, I had a couple bucks in my pocket, you know, like my life was good. I had friends, I had a boyfriend at the time, you know, all these good things, and I didn't know why I always was so sad. I got so mad at myself for being sad. And the alcohol just made it worse because, you know, it like heightens your emotions, booze, and usually it's not a good thing. But I didn't stay away at school too long. I was only there like not even 2 years because I had realized I was gay, and then made the decision to come home to try and be straight. And that was just another thing that made me drink a lot, or I drank because of, I should say, not having the courage to be who I was, or having the support at the time to be myself, and struggling with my faith and being gay also. It was just a complete mind screw. And you know, so came home, started working pretty much, and then I had more money to drink. And like I said, like, you know, I was still young. I wasn't even 21 yet. Like, I was like young, and that's what you do, right? You drink. But I noticed eventually, like, my friends and all we would all drink together, but they weren't getting themselves in situations that I was. They would get up and go to work the next day, where I struggled. They wouldn't be, dying on the floor, but I would be, you know. They wouldn't be forgetting what happened the night before as often as I would be. It was just different. Like, my drinking was on a little bit different level than theirs was. And I, like, you don't know until you know, kind of thing. But part of me felt like maybe like I was drinking too much, but I didn't do nothing about it. Eventually I just started doing other things with the drink, and they used to call me Shady. We were hanging out, like, I oftentimes would sneak away to the kitchen or the room just to do, we call them shady shots, because, like, I just had to drink more. Or if we were out, I had to, like, walk away by myself and go drink more. Because I felt like if they were watching me, they would know that I was drinking way more than they were, doing stuff that they weren't. I was embarrassed, I guess, in a sense, or ashamed. But, there's all these stories I could tell you, and all of it wasn't bad. I mean, there's some good memories, but, I could tell you anything wrong, anytime anything wrong happened, there was a drink behind it, at least for me, and, it just got worse and worse, and, my loneliness just became more. I started drinking more by myself, going out by myself, as my friends were maturing, growing up. I could never keep a relationship. I was a big cheater, a big time cheater. Didn't know how to be faithful. Didn't know how to really love somebody because I loved alcohol more. Wanted just to love. I just was not capable at the time, because booze was running my life. I can sit back and see these things, but when you're in it, you just don't know. I didn't know anything about sobriety or recovery. Like, I had never even heard the phrase. I think I had heard of AA, but, like, I didn't know really what it was. All I knew about rehab was, like, it was on, like, TV or in a movie or something, like, and it wasn't for me. Like, I know by the time I was 24, I had tried to control my drinking, but failed many times. And if I wasn't drinking, I was just doing more of other stuff, justifying it. And, off and on, I would do something I really regretted, say I was never drinking again, and then, like, a week or two later, I'd be drunk again. The same vicious cycle. Eventually, what happened was I was, written up at work a few times for being late or not showing up, and, I was, like, always feeling sorry for myself, but, I just didn't know what to do about it, and, so I drink, and, I think a lot of people can relate to that, whether you're an alcoholic or not. Like, it was fun to drink when something good happened, like it was a party, celebration and all. But I really liked to drink if I was hurt. And I felt hurt all the time. And if I would start out drinking for a birthday or some celebration and all, it would end the night being sad and depressed. Like, booze just was like a torture. But I just didn't know what to do without it. So, what happened was, it was it's a Thursday, and I went to the bar after work, and me and my brother, we were living together in this apartment, nice apartment, and I picked him up from work, and I said I was going to go to the bar. Did he want to come? And he wasn't up for it. So I actually walked to the bar that night. Don't ask me why I walked there, because I never walked. I always drove, and I always drank and drove, and thank God, you know, I never killed somebody. But this night I walked. And, you know, I remember sitting in the bar, and you could still smoke in the bar back then. And I was sitting by myself, had my beer, my shots, my cigarettes. And there was a woman sitting across the bar from me, about 20, 25 years older than me, she looked. And I remember that night thinking to myself that that's going to be me in 20 years. You know, alone at the bar, with my cigarettes, playing the jukebox, and, you know, I'd be okay with that. Like, that was, like, not my dream, but my contentment, you know? As long as I had my beer, my music, and my cigarettes, like, I'll be fine on my own, you know? Like, I'll be fine. And that woman seemed fine, you know? But at the same time, I had such pity on this lady. Like, she wasn't a crazy looking lady. She looked like a normal, lonely woman. And I felt sorry for her for whatever reason. I didn't know her, but I, like, felt sorry for her. And at the same time, felt like that was going to be, that's my life. I'm watching myself in the future. And anyway, so my brother texted me, am I right? I said, yeah. So he came and got me. He picked me up, and I grabbed a, you know, 6-pack to go. Got him, you know, some pounders. And we went back to the apartment. And we always did this thing where we would listen to music. You know, he'd play a song and, like, point out different parts of the song where, like, there'd be a cool drum solo, or, like, a flat note or something, or a lyric that was just insane. And, like, then I'd play a song for him. We would just go back and forth all night, drink and talk about music and stuff. But this night, like, while we were listening to music, we were talking. I was telling him how, like, I just felt like I felt like I should just die. You know, I don't have nothing to offer, you know, and poor me, poor me. And he was pretty much just telling me, like, look, like, your life you can feel better, you know, like, there's hope. Don't kill yourself, you know, it'll be all right. And you know, it was a chill night. And I said, all right, I was going to bed, and gave him a hug goodnight, and passed out. And so the next morning, I went to work, and the light was on in the living room, which was weird because he wasn't asleep out there. But you know, I had a pause, but I continued on my day. And he had been talking about moving back down south because he wanted to get sober again, and I was giving him a hard time about, not about getting sober, but, like, leaving me. Like, well, who's gonna pay the other half of the rent, you know? But I just wanted him to be happy. And anyway, so it was a Friday. Went to work, came home, was getting ready to go to a party, and noticed, like, his keys and his cigarettes were on the table. So I wanted to get money off of him to pay the rent before I went out. And yeah, I knocked on his door in his bedroom, but he wasn't answering me. So after, like, a minute of, like, knocking, I told him I was coming in. Mike, I'm coming in. And when I opened his door, I found him. He was on his floor. He was dead. It's an image that, like, I wish I could forget, but you know, I can't forget it. His headphones were, like, you know, still on his shoulders and around his neck. And I mean, he was already blue, like, in his elbows and all, and he was in a weird position, I guess, from how he fell. when his heart stopped or whatever, but it's like I knew he was dead, but I didn't want to believe it for like like shaking him and like trying to wake him up and all, but like my heart like knew that he wasn't here anymore. So you call 911 and all that stuff, but like I knew that I didn't know how, but I knew at that moment my life was forever changed, and I didn't know how it was going to change, but I knew it would never be the same again. And so so you bury him and all a week later, and funeral and stuff, and right after his funeral, we were all into the bar and I got trashed, and finally I felt, I now have a good enough reason, a good enough excuse to feel sorry for myself, because my best friend, my brother, is dead, and now I can just drink and do whatever, and people will feel sorry for me, and they'll just leave me alone and let me do what I want to do, because they should understand that, the pain I'm going through, that just give me a free pass just to do whatever. Like, that's how I felt. And I was a train wreck. He died May 6th, 2011. I got sober July 27th, 2011. So for a month and a half is what it took for me to steamroll harder and faster than I did in all those 10 years prior of me drinking and partying and all. It was really fast period of time where it got really bad really fast after that. And it was July 26th, I guess. I looked in the mirror. I had moved back to my mom's after my brother died, and I had been up a couple days drinking, and looked in the mirror, which I never did. I still don't like to. I can't even look in the camera. But I looked in the mirror, and then I did not see anything looking back at me. Like I saw my reflection, but when I looked into my eyes in the mirror, it just seemed so empty behind my eye. Like I had no soul. I was like just a shell. And I stared at myself for like a minute or so, and in the peripheral vision of my left eye, I caught the glimpse of my brother, because I had a picture on my mirror, hanging from the mirror. And for just a moment, I didn't want to die. Like my whole life, I wanted to die. I wanted to hurt. I wanted to be sick. I wanted to suffer. And in this one moment, after quite a bender, I didn't want to die. And I went to rehab the next day, by the grace of God. It all just worked out. Like, I had to detox and all that stuff there, and then they put me in the inpatient program for a few weeks. And it was there that I learned about AA, NACA. I learned about 12-step program. I learned about what alcoholism and the disease of addiction is. I learned, what recovery is. I learned all these stupid phrases that I didn't really understand. But once I did understand them, they were like mind-blowing. Like, nothing changes if nothing changes, or secrets keep you sick, or one day at a time, or just for today. Like there's a bazillion of them, which kind of piss you off because they make it seem so simple. And my mind is to think like complicate things, but ultimately like it is really that simple. I just make everything harder. It's not easy to get sober. It wasn't for me. It was hard. It was hard getting sober. but it's become easier to stay sober one day at a time, you know. And so I just did what they told me to do when I got out of rehab, and I made a meeting as soon as I left there with my friend who's still sober today too. And it was weird and scary, but I kept coming back. Eventually I got a sponsor. You know, I did work on myself. I had to pretty much tell on myself to somebody, and I had to make amends. I had to make a lot of amends. I'm still making some over these 9 years, and you know, I had to just not regret the past or wish to shut the door on it, you know, but I had to like face my demons and really dump that shit, all that stuff that I did with booze and everything. And I had to learn from it. I had to face it and get past it, you know. I have to learn my part, my responsibility in things, even things that were done to me. I had to really be honest with myself, because if I'm not honest, like, I'm gonna drink. That's what it's all about, really. It's to thine own self be true. And I learned that in time. I didn't learn it right away, you know, but I just kept taking suggestion because everything I had tried up until that point, it didn't work. I tried so many times to quit drinking or stop this or cut back or change drinks or change places or change people that I drank with, you know, over the years. Like, I tried everything. Listen to different music. Don't listen to these songs, such and such. Nothing ever worked. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't until I started listening to somebody else who had some experience with being sober that I thought, well, okay, maybe I should listen to their suggestions because I must not know everything. And that's what I still do, you know. So in recovery, you know, I was able to keep my job. Thank God. I was on the brink of losing my job. I was able to keep my job. I was able to be promoted in sobriety, you know, at that job. I was able to get a new job eventually, which I love. I finished college being sober, and working full time. I met a girl. We got engaged, we got married, now we have a son. You know, we're looking for a house. There's a million things though, like all those things are like awesome things, but there are dreams that have happened that I wasn't afraid to have, but I just didn't even consider because I knew like I was not capable. One, to be a wife to anybody or to ever be a mom, to ever have, you know, the perseverance or grit to finish college while working. You know, like those kinds of things. When I would sit on the bar, I you know, I didn't even hope and dream for those things because to me it was just like inevitable that I would never be able to be such things or complete or, you know, finish such things. Like, when I graduated from college, it was the first thing that I ever followed through on in my life. It was the very first thing that like I ever stuck with. Besides a day at a time, you know, like when I was dating Jenny, when we reached 1 year, it was the biggest deal to me because I had never consecutively dated anyone for a full year without breaking up, without cheating on them, without anything interrupting that relationship. So when we had been dating for 1 year, like, it was such a huge deal to me. She didn't really understand it, but like, it was like, you know, now we've been married too. We've been together 6, almost 7 years. We've been together 6 years, but like things like that, you know. I remember thinking like walking down that hall in the detox thinking like, how am I ever not gonna drink again? Like, what, you know, I was 28 when I got sober, and I remember thinking like, what am I gonna do like when I turn 30? You know, how am I not gonna drink? How am I not gonna drink on a Friday payday? You know, like how am I gonna drink when somebody dies? Like, you know, all these fears. Like, I couldn't grasp the fact that I could have like a normal life without drinking. But little by little, like, it started to happen. The obsession was lifted after a period of time. Once I really started getting into the work for me, that's when it was lifted. Really after I did my 6th and 7th step. But I had to do things early sobriety that, I had to stay away from people, places, and things. Like, there was a concert I knew I couldn't go to when I was only, a month sober, because that would be a trigger for me. All I ever did at concerts was drink, and I forget half the show. Now I've been to many concerts in sobriety and actually remember the music. Like, I remember the experience. I remember things now. Someone once told me when I was drinking, like, I'm forgetting my life. And I remember then it hit me, but it hit me more after I got sober. Like, how right that was. And just so many things. Like, I could tell you, like, I've lost a lot of people since I've been sober in my life. A lot of really close friends have died. My dad had passed away. My pop-up died. Cousins died. Really close friends of mine have died. Too many to count, really. It just seems like so much loss ever since I've been sober. But I guess the reality of it is that I've been available to be there for others. It's not always all about me all the time like it used to be. It still can be all about me because I'm not perfect, but I've learned how to actually show that I care. Before, I only know how to think it. I didn't know how to do it because I did whatever alcohol told me to do. But I don't know, like, being sober is the best thing that ever happened to me. I know every single thing in my life right now. This car, like, sitting here on the side of the road in the rain, like, with the baby sleeping in the back, like, stupid stuff like that. Like, this is better than I ever could have thought, like. And, like, I think about my brother every day. And I was actually thinking about him before I started talking. This song came on, and, like, I miss him. And honestly, like, I know ultimately in my heart, his death is really what saved my life. I know that because that's what it took. That's how much pain it had to take for me. The absolutely worst thing that I never thought would happened in my life, and that was losing him and actually finding him dead. And but like it sucks at the same time because I wish he was here and I wish he could see me sober. Like, I wish we could have had sobriety together. He had some sobriety time in his life before he died. But he wasn't in Philly when he was sober. So I never, and I wasn't sober while he was ever alive. And so, like, we didn't ever get to share that. And but I know, like, one day like, I'll see him again, and we'll have it forever together. But I don't know, like, I'm just so happy, even on my bad days. And I'll tell you, like, these last 2 years of my sobriety have been really hard for me. Like, they really have. COVID really effed it up. I feel so insecure. Just, I'm very awkward to begin with, but, like, socially, like, even going to, like, the 1 or 2 meetings they have that are, like, in person, like, I just feel so uncomfortable again. And emotionally, I was dealing with a lot of stuff, dealing with the loss of my dad and all that stuff. A year and a half ago, while I was pregnant, my dad died, and, like, it was really hard for me. After I had Micah, after the baby was born, I had real bad postpartum, like, really bad. And thankfully, like, I was able to talk about it and get some help. But like, a drink has been viciously close to me, more now than it was when I was first getting sober. So, like, I know, like, I cannot let my guard down against booze. Like, it is just sitting and waiting for me. So that's why I know I gotta stay in conscious contact with God, who is my higher power. Because when I'm not right with God, like, I'm just so much closer to drinking. I'm just so much closer to saying something mean or doing the wrong thing or being selfish, inconsiderate, you know, being nasty. And because, like, me without God is a hot mess. Me without God is drunk, really. And so I need to stay close to God. And when I'm not, like, I know I'm off, thank God. Like, I've learned, because I know now the difference between right and wrong. When I'm drinking, I didn't really know or care, you know, but now I know because I got a clear conscience. And so I know when I'm not doing what I should be doing. It's just I'm stubborn and it takes me time to surrender again. But thank God I haven't picked up a drink. And because I will lose everything, I will lose it all in an instant, I know. And I just got to take it a day at a time and keep doing the things I did when I first got sober. I got to keep it simple, like, really got to keep it simple. And realize that, like, it is just a day at a time. It's a daily reprieve. You know, I got to stay away from a drink. And I can't, but at the same time, like, I can't let the fear, the unhealthy fear of alcohol rule my life. You know, I have to have that healthy fear where I'm afraid of it, but I can't let the fear control me. And so I'm just so grateful. He's waking up, so I guess I'll get him back home. But thanks for letting me share.